Are you Adam Graham?
The very same. And this is my old-time radio snack wagon.
Welcome to the Old-Time Radio Snack Wagon, where we serve up a bite-sized portion of old-time radio. And now, here's your Snack Wagon host, Adam Graham.
15 years ago this Thursday, the internet blew up. A Scottish middle-aged woman in a frumpy dress became a sensation. Susan Boyle shocked the world on Britain's Got Talent with her audition performance of I Dreamed a Dream from Les Miserables. She would become the eventual runner-up of the series and has sold 25 million albums in the years since. Boyle's story is the epitome of why talent show franchises like The Got Talent, Idol, and The Voice are international sensations. They sell us on the idea that we can witness the moment that someone crosses that line from non-star to star. And I think that's fascinating. So many of us have dabbled in music, art, or acting, and for whatever reason gave it up or consigned it to the status of a hobby. So seeing or hearing that moment when someone becomes a star is an appealing premise. The Golden Age had its own version of this with various amateur programs. The most notable was Major Beau's Amateur Hour. One promising singer who got his start on the Amateur Hour was Frank Sinatra, who was part of a quartet known as the Hoboken Four. Of course, both modern and old-school talent programs oversold their star-making abilities. It used to be a few years ago that talent show videos went massively viral, garnering millions and tens of millions of views. However, that's become less common over time, as many of those golden buzzer winners or amazing auditions end up not actually fulfilling their promise, with modest careers at best. The same was true in the golden age of radio, where true stars rarely had a straight rise to the top from a radio program, particularly if it wasn't their own. However, that's where today's series comes in. Showstoppers was a syndicated 15-minute program which featured interviews with stars as they told the story of that moment when they knew they'd made it as a star and gave them a chance to recreate the magic that brought them to that point. As we've talked about in previous episodes, Bud Abbott and Lou Costello had landed a recurring spot with a regular comedic sketch on the Kate Smith Hour in the late 30s. They'd performed the Who's On First routine to much acclaim. Were they big stars? Not really. Their work on Kate Smith was a regular gig before a national audience, but there were many variety programs in the late 30s and early 40s, and many comedians who had a recurring spot. Listen to enough episodes of the Rudy Valley program, Jason Sanborn, or The Magic Key, and you'll find so many of these acts faded into obscurity. Stardom would require more. Making it would mean more than just a radio sketch. It called for what this series called a showstopper. This is Abbott and Costello's story. It indirectly involves baseball, so it's loosely related to the first two episodes of this series. Of course, more than that, it involves a classic that's associated with baseball, a hot dog. But with mustard or without? Let's find out in this episode of Showstoppers from March 13th, 1946.
Corette of California and San Francisco, creators of feminine sportswear, join with their distributors from coast to coast to present Showstoppers. And here comes a showstopper. Featuring your host,
yours truly, Knox Manning.
And starring the story in the riotous comedy of
Bud Abbott and Costello.
Showstoppers. The spotlight is on that once-in-a-lifetime, thrilling, exciting moment in the careers of the great stars of Hollywood and Broadway. The moment when they stood breathlessly between success and failure, and then stopped the show. In the language of show business, that means turning the corner from the darkness of obscurity into the Klieg lights of world acclaim. It's the first step that leads to fame and fortune. Each week, Showstoppers brings you a star and a story. This week, it's two stars with the same story, Abbott and Costello.
Costello, where have you been?
Oh, I had to go out to the fish market, Abbott, and buy 500 pounds of fish.
500 pounds of fish. What are you going to do with all that fish?
I still have 500 Christmas seals at home. Somebody's got to feed them.
Yes, sir, they always make you laugh. Believe me, there's nobody in show business like them. Abbott and Costello, Bud and Lou, welcome to Showstoppers.
Thanks, Knox. We're very glad to be here. Isn't that right, Costello?
I'll say. Why are we here?
Primarily to get you to tell us about your big showstopper. But first, some vital statistics.
All right, Knox, shoot.
Well, I've never done this with two stars at the same time. I hardly know where to begin.
Oh, don't let that worry you. Just ask the questions and we'll answer them.
Well, let's see. Where were you born?
New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Where did you get started in show business?
Burlesque.
Burlesque.
Who gave you your first real break?
Kate Smith.
Kate Smith.
What was your original big showstopper?
Streets of Paris.
Streets of Paris.
Oh, now, wait a minute. What is this double talk you're giving me? New Jersey Burlesque, Kate Smith.
It isn't double talk, Knox. That's the way it was.
Well, I'm still completely befuddled. Suppose we go back and talk about these things one at a time. Now, let's see. You're both from New Jersey, right?
Right.
Costello's from Patterson.
And Abbott's from Asbury Park.
And you both started out in burlesque?
Yes. Abbott is a straight man.
And Costello as a comedian.
As a team?
No, we didn't know each other in the early days. We both drifted around a good deal. I guess it...
Oh, I see. Sort of trying to find your right spot in show business, huh?
I guess so, Knox. Burlesque is a wonderful school for comedy. You know, its alumni include such great stars as Jimmy Durante, W.C. Fields, Bobby Clark, Sophie Tucker, Bert Lahr.
And Abbott and Costello. So you met in burlesque, decided you were good for each other, and there were your names in bright lights.
Oh,
huh?
no, not so fast, Knox. Lou and I saw some pretty lean times before we ever saw our names in lights.
You said it, Bud. Lots of times we didn't know where our next engagement was coming from, or our next meal, for that matter.
And then along came Kate Smith.
Yes. Kate gave us a spot on her radio show, and the listeners seemed to like our type of comedy.
That's all right, Lou. And so did Schubert. Well, he happened to hear that program and called us up one morning, I meant to say, to see if we'd appear in Streets of Paris, that great Broadway hit.
All of which sounds like a trip on the magic carpet to me.
Yes, only our carpet was made out of a hot dog, and the magic was supplied by the mustard on it.
A hot dog? Well, that sounds exciting. But now, just how does your present success tie up with a Frankfurter?
Well, Lou and I were going through one of those extra lean periods in our career. One noon, we dropped in on lunch at a little hot dog stand on 42nd Street in New York City. I was so hungry, I didn't pay any attention to Lou until I was finished. When I looked up, I saw that he hadn't even started on his hot dog. What's the matter? What's the matter, Costello?
It's got mustard on it, Abbott.
Well, sure, all hot dogs have mustard on them.
But I don't like mustard.
Well, what's the matter with mustard?
Oh, I didn't say there was anything the matter with it. I just don't like mustard.
Well, you don't like it. Then why did you order a hot dog?
Because I like them.
Then why don't you eat it?
Because it's got mustard on it.
Everybody likes mustard on hot dogs. That's what makes them taste good. That's why they sell so many of them. Suppose nobody liked mustard. What would happen to the hot dog business? Well, what would happen to the mustard?
Wait a minute, Bud.
Well, what's the matter?
I've got it.
What?
That's it. That's the routine we've been looking for. That's the kind of an act you and I should do.
An idea born in a little hot dog stand off Broadway led to the success of Abbott and Costello. We'll be back for the rest of the story behind your big showstopper in just a few moments.
For everything to wear under the sun, it's sportswear by Corette of California, in a variety that's the spice of California living. Enjoy the casual comfort of trick skirts and pleat skirts, the smart tailoring of girdle slacks, and to complete each costume, there's the trim cardigan jacket. For feminine sportswear interpreted with fresh originality, it's Corette of California.
Back to the story of Abbott and Costello and their showstopper. So a little hot dog stand off Times Square was the birthplace of your success, huh?
Well, it gave us an idea, and we worked on it and elaborated on it.
We set it in a baseball park because that's where people eat the most hot dogs.
And then you got your chance to try it out in the Broadway show, Streets of Paris.
Yes. And the fact that Schubert liked it gave us a lot of confidence.
Yes, we needed it, because we were important company then. Big people, Bobby Clark, Luella Gear, Carmen Miranda.
Then up went the curtain at the Broadhurst Theater in New York City on that June 19th, 1939. And a smart first-night audience acclaimed two new stars in the Broadway sky.
Well, Lou, here we are at the Broadhurst.
Oh, Abbott.
What?
Here it is, our first big Broadway show, eh?
Yes, sir.
Isn't this a beautiful theater over here?
Broadhurst, I should
Get
say.
a load of this theater.
Marvelous.
Look at that wall over there.
Yes.
Isn't that a beautiful wall?
It certainly is.
You know what that wall reminds me of?
What?
This one over here.
Oh, well, naturally. Walls are walls. Suppose you walked over there and you bored a hole in that wall.
All right, I walk over there and I bore a hole in the wall.
Why? Why should you go over there and bore a hole in that wall?
I'm not boring no hole in the wall.
Why should you go over there and bore a hole in that wall?
Wait a minute, you made a suggestion. You said, suppose you walk over there and bore a hole in the wall.
Yes.
I was dopey enough to say I'll go over and bore a hole in the wall.
That's no-
But you're not going to put that blame on me, brother.
Now, wait a minute.
I don't go around boring holes in walls.
I understand.
If I want to get out of here, I don't have to go out through a hole in the wall.
that I know.
They got exites here if I want to get out.
Exite.
E-X-I-T, out.
Exite. Well, what makes you so dumb?
Oh, that just comes to me natural.
Sure. You don't know what you're talking about. Suppose you walk into a baseball park. What teams are playing?
I don't know.
Then what are you doing in that baseball park?
I don't know, brother. You got me in there, now get me out.
What is the first thing you buy in a baseball park?
A hot dog.
A hot dog.
Without mustard.
All right. Oh, no, mustard goes with a hot dog.
Not with mine.
Mustard was made for the hot dog.
I don't care what the stuff is made for. I'm not going to eat it. I don't like it. I mean, after all, I don't like mustard.
Now, listen, mustard and a hot dog go together.
Let them go together. I don't want to spoil any romance. I mean, after all, if I don't like mustard, I don't have to eat it for you or nobody else.
Well, I didn't know you disliked it. I didn't know.
What do you think, yeah, big man? If you come and eat mustard, I got to eat mustard?
I'm sorry.
Mustard burns my tongue, and I don't want to eat it.
All right, we'll forget about it.
If I eat mustard, I get sick and I can't work. You know what happens, don't you?
Yes.
You know I'm a married man.
I know that.
You know I got a wife and two children.
Let's get
well, if
that.
I eat mustard and I get sick and I can't work, what happens with the money? I ain't got no money.
All right,
Then my kids wind up in the orphan asylum.
Wait a minute.
You're a fine guy sending my kids to an orphan asylum.
What are you talking about? Do you know what
What
you're
do my
saying?
kids ever do to you?
Nothing at all.
All right, you got to send my kids to an orphan asylum.
Just a minute.
Come on, get my kids out of the orphan
Now, wait a
asylum.
minute. This whole thing started over nothing.
Well, I'm not going to eat mustard for you or
All
nobody
right,
else.
so you don't eat it.
I like Worcestershire shearshawls.
You like what? You like what?
Worcestershire shearshawls.
Worcestershire shearshawls. But you don't like mustard.
I don't like mustard, no.
All right, wait a minute. Give me a reason. Who are you that you shouldn't like mustard? What are you, too big a shot to like mustard?
What did mustard ever do for me?
Oh, no, wait a
That's all. If
minute.
I don't like it, I'm not going to eat it.
All right, so you don't eat it.
So throw it away. I won't eat it.
All right, wait a minute. All right, look, let's not argue about it then. Suppose you walk out on a bridge and you jump off. Now,
I'm not jumping off any
There
bridge.
you go. Then what are you doing on that bridge?
I'm not on any bridge. There's two things I don't like, and it's bridges and mustard. And if you want to burn me up, Abbott, all you got to do is stick me in the middle of a bridge with a handful of mustard.
There you go.
What has all this got to do with me boring a hole in the wall?
Never mind that.
That's what started the whole
Wait a
trouble.
minute, that damage is already done. Figure you'll get a bill for that before you leave the theater. Here's what I want. You don't like mustard. Do you know where mustard comes from?
I know they don't scrape it off a mustard plaster.
No. They manufacture mustard. Do you know they spend millions of dollars every year to manufacture mustard? Do you know they spend millions of dollars just to put up buildings to manufacture mustard? Do you know those buildings employ thousands and thousands of men just to manufacture mustard? Do you know those men take care of thousands and thousands of families, all on account of mustard? And you, just because you don't like mustard, what do you want them to do? Tear those factories down and put all those people out of work?
Do you mean to stand there and tell me just because I don't eat mustard, I'm going to wreck the mustard factories? Are you trying to tell me that those thousands and thousands of people are making one little jar of mustard just for me?
Wait till I explain it.
Well, if they are, you can tell them not to make it anymore because I'm not going to eat it.
All right.
I am not supporting thousands of people.
Oh, say anything about something.
If I eat mustard, what happens to the people working in the Worcestershire shearshawls factory?
Let's close one factory at a time. You don't like this, you don't like that. You don't know what you like. Suppose you walk into a restaurant. You walk into a restaurant. Now, don't get excited. Don't get excited.
I'm not getting excited. I walk into a restaurant, and now what happens?
All right, now the waiter places on one side of the table great big juicy steak. On the other side, a platter of beans. Which one of these two would you eat?
I eat the beans.
What happens to the steak?
I don't want the steak. I eat the beans.
Well, why did you order the steak if you didn't?
I didn't order nothing. You said a waiter comes over and puts steak over here and beans on the other side.
That's right.
You asked me which of the two I would eat.
That's right.
I was nice enough not to sponge on you.
What have I got to do with this?
I say I eat the beans.
But what are we going to do with that steak?
You can throw it away.
Wait a minute. Thousands of people throughout the world starving to death, and you're throwing steaks away? There's a fine reputation.
All right, never mind the beans. I'll eat the steak.
You'll eat the steak. Do you know where that steak comes from?
A cow. I hope.
You hope. That steak comes from a cow. Do you know what that cow gives?
No.
That cow gives milk.
No, she don't. You got to take it away from her.
Hey, now look. Who does that milk supply? Little babies, little innocent tots. Without that milk, they'd perish, die. And you, just because you want to be a hog and eat steaks, you let him kill all the cows and let the little babies of the world starve to death.
I'm a bad boy.
I'll say you are.
I'm killing babies, cows, putting people out of work. I'm a louse.
You are.
This whole thing started with a burn a hole in the wall.
Never mind that. It's not over nothing. You won't answer one little simple
Why
question.
don't you ask me something with a little sense to it?
All right, suppose you walk into a railroad depot. Say the Grand Central Depot in New York City. Now, you buy a ticket. Where are you going?
I'm not going anywhere.
And what are you doing in the depot?
I'm not in a depot.
And what are you buying a ticket for?
Ask me that again slow.
You're in a depot.
I'm in a depot.
Where are you going?
I don't know.
Well, make up your mind. You've got to be going somewhere.
I'll go this way.
Where is that? What direction is that?
That's over there.
Where are you going? We want to know where you're going. Tell the folks where you're going.
I'll go to Baltimore. I don't want to go, but I'll go.
Baltimore. What's the matter with Philadelphia?
I got friends in Baltimore.
Suppose you had friends in Philadelphia.
All right, then I go to Philadelphia.
What happened to your friends in Baltimore?
I'm not talking to them anymore.
Look, suppose your wife was in Philadelphia.
Then I go to Chicago.
Abbott and Costello's famous mustard routine stopped the show that opening night at the Broadhurst Theater in New York, and they've been stopping them ever since on the air, in the theater, and the movies. Today, they're a couple of the greatest showstoppers in the business.
Corette of California in San Francisco and the distributors throughout the nation have presented Showstoppers. Listen again next week for Celeste Holm, another great showstopper.
Welcome back. An interesting yarn to be sure, and a vintage Abbott and Costello sketch that showed they were more than one-hit wonders. Their work in the streets of Paris would be followed up by a decade and a half of film, radio, and television. It should be noted that Lou Costello's first brush with an entertainment career was not burlesque, as he indicated in the program. He went to Hollywood during the silent era in 1927 and 28 and kicked around the back lots. He worked as a laborer and as an extra, making an uncredited appearance as a spectator at a boxing match. He also did some stunt work. However, that was probably too involved for a 15-minute episode and would have messed with the rhythm of how Abbott and Costello were introduced. I hope you've enjoyed these interrelated episodes. We'll take a break from talking about Abbott and Costello for a while, but I love these guys, and it's only a matter of time until we serve up another helping of their amazing work on the Old Time Radio Snack Wagon. It's time for me to close up the old snack wagon, but don't worry, we'll be back with another serving of Old Time Radio goodness before you know it. If you want to enjoy some of our longer form podcasts, you can feast away at my website at greatdetectives.net. Your emails are also welcome at adam@snackwagon.net.
The Old Time Radio Snack Wagon comes to you from Boise, Idaho. Your host is Adam Graham. Sound production is by Rhines Media, LLC. You can listen to past episodes of the Old Time Radio Snack Wagon as well as connect on social media at our website at snackwagon.net. Email suggestions for episodes to adam@snackwagon.net. This has been the Old Time Radio Snack Wagon.
Until next time, goodbye.